This is for science, because Clint's yelling. What are we doing, Clint?
We're gonna figure out how much we're gonna cut. Now, I'm tired of arguing about it.
We've been yelling at each other for like 30 minutes. So we're gonna take this motor and see if we should really do the firewall or not. And we're gonna slide it into the car on the lift just to see where it really fits and see what we can do. So you'd never guess it. You'd never guess it. Me and Clint might agree. Right. We might agree on something.
I was right.
So the motor looks pretty good here. There's no wiper mounts. We can cut that out and move this engine back, and it looks pretty good. But I'm worried about the transmission. Now, if this was a Coyote swap, it's a whole different story. But we have a lot of room with everything. So we're measuring our distance from
6 1/4 from the firewall to the bell housing face.
Okay, on that mount. Off that brace.
Here to the closest point of the firewall.
Okay.
On the edge.
So we have 6.5 inches, and we're gonna put the transmission up and see where that puts us overall to see if this will work without cutting everything. Okay, so GemSport was able to send the ECU way faster than I expected, and so I gotta get this engine ready to start. So the biggest thing is our hole in the pan. However, we also have a hole in the pan and another hole in the pan and some cracks. So I'm not gonna bother trying to weld it. I was hoping that I could, but it's just not worth the hassle. I bought a pan on eBay for 80 bucks. It should be here this week, hopefully around the same time that the ECU is, and I can't rip the dash out until I get the engine started, or at least try to start it, because I want to see if everything works. All right, today is a big day. The oil pan is coming in, and so is our ECU from GemSport, which they unlocked, and they put a tune on it. So hopefully we can fire up the dang Fusion. So first things first, these silly things don't have an oil pan gasket, so I gotta clean all this silicone off really good, because I don't want an oil pan leak, because that would be super lame. So I'm gonna clean this up. We're gonna get our nice eBay junkyard oil pan on and see what happens. All right, so I haven't worked on the car in a little bit. You can probably tell in my voice I'm still feeling a little bit sick, but gonna try to get the car started today. First, rear wheel drive, EcoBoost, the Fusion. It lines up really good, actually. This is gonna go back even further. I gotta just cut the cowl out for the high pressure fuel pump. The fuel line looks like it'll work. I gotta just drag it over to plug it in. So I'm gonna put a gas tank in it. I do have an all-wheel drive tank coming, but for now I'm gonna plug in the factory gas tank with a couple gallons of fuel, just so I can see if it all works and starts. All right, here we go. We're hooking up power. This is just a vacuum pump, I think, so I don't think it will have a vacuum leak, but we will find out. I really hope this lug will reach over here. It's a factory harness. Oh, I heard things. I did hear things. All right, I gotta tap this down. Yep. Good enough for who it's for. Hell yeah. I gotta put some gas in it. 2.3 EcoBoost Fusion. First try at starting. Let's see. Okay, so it won't start. It's got an automatic transmission harness in it. So that's something I might need to figure out. Let's try to bump it and see what happens. All right, let's try this again. Cranking over pretty hard. I know there's some oil in the cylinders from flipping the motor over, but it is cranking, so I'm gonna get a jump box. sure why it's turning over weird, but it's never gonna start like that. All right, so I hooked my scanner up to it. I've got a bunch of codes. It has a bunch of throttle pedal codes, which is weird because I can hear the throttle body moving when I hit the pedal, but it might just want the Mustang pedal. It also has ECT high code, which is weird because the coolant temp sensor is plugged in, and there's no coolant in it, and the engine hasn't ran. So that's also pretty weird. And then the car is not giving us any fuel. So I put even more fuel in it, so it's got a quarter of a tank. I turn the key, I don't get any fuel, and I even unplugged it to see if any fuel was coming out, and there's not. So I might have to bypass it, but I will see what I can do. Alright, made my life a little bit easier. This is in the starter relay, so I can use my power probe here to hit that. And then I've got this piece of weld wire. I'm going to jump the fuel pump relay there so we have fuel, and we're going to try this again. Alright, I found out why the engine was turning over hard. It's not super great, but the alternator's jammed up, so I got to take that apart and figure out why that's happening. But I'm going to put fuel on it, and we're going to see if it will crank. Well, it definitely cranks better. It definitely still doesn't start. I found the relay module for the fuel pump, so I jumped that. The relay up here is still in. It seems like it works right. So with that being jumped, we're going to have full pressure fuel here. And I should be able to start this. This is going to be the last thing that I'm going to know right away. It's either an ECU problem or something else. Oh yeah, that fuel pump's pumping now. I can hear it. No leaks. Full beans. Of course. I don't know why it's going to be like that. Chargers on it, jump boxes on it. So, give me a minute. Ah! She ran! She had some smoke in the turbo, but she ran! Hell yeah! See if she'll fire back up again. Battery's pissed. Sick! It runs. I don't know if the gauges work or anything, because it didn't run long enough, but it ran. So, super pumped. Alright. Let's see what happens again. Let's see if I can keep it running with the pedal. Well, she fired right up. I hope the turbo's not blown. I think there's just still oil in it. We gotta get a broom or something to push this pedal. Try this again. Well, it's sounding increasingly worse. But the throttle works too. So that's sick. I don't know why it's throwing a bunch of throttle codes. Probably loading up with fuel because it doesn't have any boost piping on it, but it's repetitive. Okay, so the car doesn't have a tach, so I can't really see if that's working. The pedal is, which is pretty cool, even though it's throwing a bunch of codes. But basically now I'm gonna just rip the motor back out of the car, which is just, you know, wiring because it's sitting in there. And then I can start doing some fab work to actually get the motor in there. But I gotta pull the dash and everything, so I just wanted to see if we could actually get it started, and maybe we can send the ECU back to Gem Sport, or he can mess with the body module or something to make everything happy. But super stoked that it runs attached to the car, and gonna keep working and try to get this thing done pretty quickly. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. We finally got the Fusion running, and it actually runs pretty decent. We got a bunch of work to do still on it, so we're gonna be posting a video every couple of weeks to show you guys what we've been doing. Make sure you hit the little bell, it lets you know when we post something new. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you later. And don't forget, Christmas is coming up, and we have a bunch of merch on our store, so buy some merch.